Okay, we're here at the bee yard today. We're gonna check out the 2 package colonies and see how they're progressing. So this is gonna be one of them right here. Good activity at the door. When we left that one, that one had about 4 frames drawn out, and they were drawing out many others. So we've been feeding it. I did come out midweek and remove the entrance reducer because it was almost 100 degrees. So I am expecting to see that deep pretty much all finished, all drawn out. When I did look midweek, it did have some syrup still in the pail, so they didn't eat it all. Now my second one over here, this one here I thought was doing better. I mean, it had more brood in it in that second box compared to the other one. I think this may be doing a little better. So this one here, if they're done with that top box, I will give them a 3rd deep, and we're going to continue feeding because just the nectar flow is imminent. I have supers on most of my colonies here, and they all have honey in there to the point where I think I have to add more supers. So I do think they'll draw this 3rd box out. When we put the 3rd box, it'll be probably done in about 7 days, maybe 10, but probably 7, because their population is so much bigger now that they can just do things a lot faster. Because if you remember, it took us about 5 weeks for them to draw out the 1st deep, and I put the 2nd deep on there. This is the end of the 2nd week, and then I'm expecting it to be done. Then if we put a 3rd deep on, we will get probably, like I say, about 7 days to finish that, and then we'll put honey supers on there. Now this one over here, this package colony here, if they're done, we're going to put honey supers on, and I'm going to show you how I do that. And we may have to manipulate some frames and possibly do a reversal. We'd like to do a reversal, but if this top box is full of honey, that isn't going to happen. So, I'll get my gear on and we'll get started. Okay, we're gonna go in here. Got our smoker going. Okay, looks like they've used about half the pail. I'm not going to turn this over so I don't lose the seal or the vacuum, because I don't know if I'm going to fill it up again or not. But we'll see where we're at here. Okay, the top box. And if you remember right, I had I did have 1 frame of drawn comb in here. That would be this one. And this one here is heavy. It is full of nectar. Now, they do have this open for some brood, looks like. Yep, there's some brood in there. But you can see they're starting to cap the honey. They always cap from the top down. That's just what they do. But this one's really heavy with honey. Next frame. Same thing, full of nectar. Completely full. This frame, pretty much full of nectar. Let's see. Oh, there's the queen right there. If you can see her, she's right there. And her dot has worn off quite a bit. Looking for a place to lay. Not much place to lay up here because it is there's so much nectar. Let's see how these other frames are playing out. If she had a chance to lay in some of these. See, that is there again. That if you see the glisten, it's all pretty much. Oh, there's a whole frame. You can see the white grubs there. So that frame is pretty good with brood. And this frame has about a third of brood. That's got a lot of brood in it. Also cap brood. A lot of nectar. So I have a decision to make here. I was going to do a reversal, but they have so much nectar in here that and they won't move it up. Everybody says, oh, they'll just move it up. Well, they really won't move it up, is what we find. So I don't think it's going to be in our best interest to do a reversal. But what we do want to do is we want to bring a couple frames from below and put them up on top. The dark, because we want some frames with pollen, because we have to think about winter. Here we are, it's not even July yet, and we're thinking about winter. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to take out a couple frames, and the queen was not on any of these. She should be on one of these others. Well, I'll look real quick, but it doesn't matter. Just sort of, we don't want to injure her at all. So what I'm going to take out these frames here, rest them at an angle so they don't squash each other. This is going to be a frame of dark. This is dark comb, because bees move up better on dark comb in the winter time. So I'm going to, this one drawn comb is darker. I am going to put that in the center. It's mostly honey, and that's pretty much all it's going to be here anyway. This is their winter food. They're going to fill this box up with honey. So I'm going to keep all the brood together there. Add some brood there, but I'm going to grab a couple frames from below now with pollen, so that when winter time comes, when winter comes, oh, it does got a grunt. Or I should say, when February comes and the bees move up, and they want to start, they start making brood in February. We want to make sure that when they uncover some of that capped honey that's going to be in the center of the top box, that there's going to be some frames that have some they'll put nectar over the top of the frames, or I'm sorry, over the top of the pollen, and then when they eat some of that honey, then they'll find pollen, and then they'll have pollen to be able to feed their brood. So the question is trying to find a frame with a lot of pollen in it. That may or may not happen. And if you notice, we gave them one full pollen patty last week, a full one. And I put half of it on top, half of it on the bottom. Now, I don't know if this is a queen cell here, but we're going to squash it just to be careful there. Another one happening right here. Probably going to be a drone, but we want to make sure. So they ate all of that pollen in the from last week. All the pollen's gone. Now I got to go bring them some more pollen. With it being so dry, maybe they aren't getting much of it. I don't see much pollen in these frames either. There's a little bit, but not a lot. I would like to see more, but ton of brood. So I think I'm just going to end up, I want to bring up a couple of frames of darker comb. I do want to do that for sure. You know, stuff that they've gone through a couple of brood cycles. They just like that a lot more. So I think I'll move up some brood, and then the brood will hatch out, and then they're going to fill it full of honey. That's what's going to happen. And then I'll move some of this lighter comb to the bottom. Got brood in it. First, and everybody got to get a hold of you when you're in the middle of bee work. Okay, count the frame. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There's 9 frames here. I've drawn out frames, so now we're just gonna more evenly space them out. Okay, and we'll put this other box back on, and we've got to be careful because where the queen is, we got to make sure we don't hit her at all. So here's our frame of brood from below. Catastrophe. Okay, this one they have not finished drawing it out. Getting close. Like I say, they always start from the top, then work their way down. And this is all nectar, so I'm going to put it more on the outside, away from that brood. Okay, they aren't quite ready for honey supers yet. It's close, but not quite. So I'm gonna check them. I'm gonna go get more. I'll put more pollen on there later today, and maybe earlier. I guess I'll have to maybe make something midweek, another video midweek. But I mean, it's good. They're expanding. They're almost done with this box. They're really close. Really close. They still got plenty of syrup there, so I think they'll finish that. And I did bring supers with, so I think just to store them, I'm going to put them right on top of here. So I have the supers. I just put it on top of that box there. They won't move up into that at all. The feeder pail's kind of blocking them off. They won't go in there. I have a queen excluder up on top. Just to, it's just for storage. The cover's going on here. And then it's out in case it rains or anything. And then I'm ready when I come here next week. But, so we'll get some pollen on here later today. A whole pollen patty in a week. I'm shocked at that. So I'm glad I had it for them. If they hadn't had that, they wouldn't have been making brood. All right, now we're gonna go check the other one. Okay, so here we are in the second hive. Get my quick start pellets going. We'll see how they're doing here, and it'll be interesting to see. I'm assuming there'd be no pollen on here either. Here they have not used I put a different type of pail on here. It's not quite opaque as the other one, but if you can see the contrast there, Actually, it's probably looks like it's 2/3 full still, so which is not a problem if they don't want it. They're getting it from some other place, and there isn't. This nectar flow, I mean, there's been something happening, but I think the main nectar flow is imminent. It's going to start any time now. I see my catalpa. I have catalpa trees right behind me. They're in full bloom. Normally, when you see catalpa trees in bloom, at least for me, that usually signifies the nectar flow's on. And we'll see where these guys are today. If we remember that we had like about 3 or 4 really full frames of brood in the center here. If we remember that from last week. And I don't know how much of that was hatched out. Maybe not all of it, because I see they have not finished drawing out all of the frames here. This one here, hardly working on it at all. Okay, we're doing it a little bit here. A lot of egg laying in here. Sorry, I'm not going to give you a lot to look at, but I mean, I'm glistening honey there. You got about a good third of this is nectar and honey. But they're still not quite as far. They got a little bit more to go on this cap brood. A lot of nectar coming in, a little bit of eggs. What happens as time goes on, more and more nectar's coming in, and they want to store the nectar up on top. So we want the nectar in the top box. That's going to be their winter honey, their winter stores. And as this brood hatches out here, they will fill the empty cells with nectar, because the nectar will be coming in so fast and furious, the queen will be forced to come down. And we're at a really good spot here where these frames are going to be hatching out here shortly. Most of them at least the cat brood. More cat brood. A lot of nectar on the sides. Still, I don't see a ton of pollen in here, but boy, that's really a nice frame. Honey all the way top, down the sides, and all that cat brood. That is textbook. I guess textbook would have a little pollen in there. I didn't see that. Then when we look at this, they ate all the pollen again. These guys are pollen, really putting it away, so that's a good sign. Another 10 days for this cat brood to hatch out. So what do I got? I got 4 frames of cat brood right there, and that within 10 days it'll all hatch out. And more brood there. Well, this looks very good, but they still have not. I'm going to give them another, I guess we're going to push it one more week, or maybe a partial week. I'm going to come out here. I got to give them some pollen today, but then I'll come out and they're making good inroads on this. I'm going to move this frame in. They're really doing much with that. I'm going to move that frame in. This frame is really quite far on the one side, so, and on this side they're working on it pretty good, so I'm going to put this on the very outside. Now this frame here that I have is an older frame. Sometimes I don't like older frames. I don't know if the odor isn't there, but for some reason they don't do anything with it, and I'm going to give this a week, and if it isn't working, I have to replace that frame. All right, so where we're at here now is I'll do a glance at the bottom just to look, make sure I don't see any swarm cells at all. This is progressing nicely. Almost there. Getting close for the next box. I thought it would have been done today, but I guess that's a big no. I'm going to take this camera down. Looks like they got a swarm cell going here. You see right here, right above my hive tool there, right below my hive tool, is a cell being formed, and that looks like a swarm cell. And they will put swarm cells right on these top bars. That's why you always going to look on the top bars for swarm cells. All right, so now being that I saw that, I'm going to look at the bottom of this hive here. Put the camera back. And I'm just going to tip it back here and look for any swarm cells. Could happen. Some people say a package won't swarm. That is not the case. Package will swarm if they're crowded and hot. That's usually what gets them to go, but now we've manipulated our frames here. We really aren't going to do anything with that. And if you don't pull any frames out, we can tip this, they're all propolized in there. So we can take this box and tip it back. Oh, they're a little bit loose here, but I don't see any swarm cells in there. Perfect. Just what we were looking to see. I don't see any. Without going through and pulling all the frames, and I'm not going to do that. I don't think that I'm going to see that. So, all right. Put this bad boy back together again. I'm going to look at that feeder pail, make sure that feeder pail holes aren't plugged up for any reason. All right, I'm going to work on the feeder pail. Well, we're going to go out and get some pollen, bring that back here, and get the syrup going on this, and give it one more week, it looks like, before we put on our third box and our supers. So if I don't do anything else, and no addendum to this video, thanks for watching. All right, I'm back with all the pollen I have left. I have half a patty for each colony. So I'm going to have to go out and get some more. There's no pollen very little stores in here. I was looking and I did not see, oops, I don't want to block that feeder pail. I did not see hardly any pollen in here at all stored. So if you have package B colonies, you don't see pollen in the cells, you're starving your bees. They need that, or they will not move forward. We'll just look forward to next week, I guess. Thanks for watching. Okay, here I am 24 hours later. I got another one pollen patty that I'm going to split in half between the two colonies. I'm gonna just take this down. Have I'll put this on probably sometime later in the week. And we're gonna see what they have done with the pollen patty I put on yesterday, 24 hours later. I'm just curious to see how much they've been eating it. Look at that, it's all gone. Not really stuck to the, there we go. So that's what's left after 24 hours. I mean, it's they're eating it. So we're just going to make sure they have plenty to eat. They're still expanding their brood nest. Working on those outer frames. I'm going to come out midweek and add another box. That's just what we're going to do. All right, let me go check the other one now. Okay, we're going to check our other hive real quick, see how that pollen patty's doing. I've got one more half to give, and that's all the pollen I have left. Well, they've been eating it, that's for sure. We'll get them what I have left, and then that'll be it. And hopefully that's enough to get, there'll be some more pollen with the nectar flow. And must not have started yet. But it should be going in the next week. It should be going, whatever the drought's going to do. I don't know. I see flowers blooming. Usually when it's dry, if it's dry, as long as plants are green, they will produce usually more nectar than during a period of when it's wet. That's just the way it seems to be. So that's why we're hoping we can get some rain here to keep this thing green. Once it gets brown and crispy, it just doesn't move forward very good, and to the point where it may even be over with. So crossing our fingers. See ya. Thanks for watching. Okay, so these are my catalpa trees. They are just blooming right now. Beautiful white flowers. And catalpa trees are also, they got long beans. That's the product that they have, this a long bean tree. I never really see bees work it at all. I don't know if I doubt there's any nectar or anything there. It's just that the timing of the bloom always usually times right with the